You know, sometimes a deck like this looks so bad, it seems like there's just nothing that can be done with it. But restoration of this deck is not only probable, but it's virtually guaranteed. It's been several seasons since this deck last received any TLC. As a result, the wood is dried, cracked, and discolored, and the previous finish is badly chipped, peeling, and in heavy traffic areas, mostly worn away. Another troublesome symptom is protruding nails, caused in part by the deck boards repeatedly getting wet and then drying out, a process that can actually push the nails upward. So the first step is to reset the fasteners flush with the surface, using a hammer and drift pin to avoid denting the wood itself. The deck boards also have two additional problems. They've weathered badly from years of exposure to sun, rain, and dirt, and they're made even more unattractive by the patches of the previous stain that remain. To help correct both of these, I'm going to clean the deck using a power washer. The power washer needs a water supply, which will come from a garden hose attached to the inlet port. On the water outlet side, I'll attach the high-pressure hose, then connect it to the power wand. Power washers typically have interchangeable tips that create a fan-shaped water pattern. For this project, I'm using a 15-degree nozzle, which will provide a more aggressive cleaning action. To avoid damaging or etching the wood, though, it's important to keep the wand moving at all times and to hold it at least 6 to 8 inches from the surface. When using this tool properly, the results are immediately visible. Now this came out pretty well just with the power washer, but I'm going to take one additional step here. I'm going to apply a deck cleaner and brightener just to take off any residue and lighten up some of the darker spots. Before beginning, I'm wetting the grass and shrubs near the deck. This will dilute any cleaner that runs off the edges. I'll also repeat this after completing the cleaning and brightening step. This 3-in-1 wood cleaner from Thompson's WaterSeal removes stains from dirt, mildew, algae, and fungus, eliminates tannin and rust stains, and brightens the wood, bringing it back closer to its original color. When using any deck cleaner, cover arms and legs, put on rubber gloves, and wear eye protection. Pour the cleaner undiluted into a sprayer, screw on the top, then pump 25 to 30 strokes to build up the pressure. On warm days like this, I pre-wet the deck surface to keep the cleaner from drying too quickly. Then spray on the cleaner and brightener. I found that cleaners like this perform best if they're scrubbed with a synthetic bristle brush. This works the solution into the wood and helps loosen surface particles. Leave the cleaner brightener on the surface for 10 to 15 minutes, then rinse the deck using a garden hose or power washer. Now things are looking very good except for a few areas where the old stain is stubbornly clinging to the surface. I removed some of the larger spots using an orbital sander and 80 grit paper. Because water applied to bare wood will nearly always raise some grain, I also sand the handrails, making them smooth to the touch. Sanding is an optional step and isn't always necessary. To protect the deck and keep it looking good, I'm using Thompson's WaterSeal waterproofing stain. Now, this product contains elastomeric polymers that help the dry stain expand and contract with the wood during temperature fluctuations, reducing cracking and peeling. Before sealing the top deck surfaces, I want to coat the sides, using a brush that's narrow enough to fit into the spaces between the boards. My preferred tool for applying a sealer is this deck staining pad. A long handle allows me to do the entire job standing up. What's important here is to bring the pad into contact with the solution, but not submerge it. Then use the ribs on the pan to distribute the material evenly across the surface. The pad allows me to work the stain and sealer well into the wood, assuring a good bond. I usually apply the material to 3 or 4 boards at a time,
always moving the pad in the direction of the grain. Re-wetting the pad frequently ensures an ample coating that's evenly distributed. This sealer also has acrylic polymers, which greatly improve resistance to scuffing and marring. Another thing I like about this combination stain and sealer is that it can be applied to damp wood. This means cleaning and coating can be done in the same day. This applicator incorporates a small brush into the pad, making it possible to apply sealer to the deck board sides at the same time the top surface is being coated. It also has an onboard container which does away with the need to dip and re-wet the pad. The thumb dial and trigger determine the flow rate to the applicator head. I prefer a smaller pad when it comes to applying material to railings and balusters. On vertical surfaces, apply the sealer from the bottom to the top to avoid drips and runs. This sealer dries to the touch in about 2 hours, and its coating is resistant to mildew and UV damage from the sun. Because it's semi-transparent, it does an excellent job of concealing any color variations in the wood itself, creating a blended yet natural look. Well, although it may have looked hopeless in the beginning, you've got to admit, this turned out beautifully. And it's a project that you can do in a single day.